We are the Gujarat Technological University. Since its inception over a decade ago, GTU has been empowering young and curating minds to realize their true potential. Over 4 lakh inspired students are enrolled with one of the premier academic universities in India. With more than 450 affiliated colleges in its fold operating across 5 zones of the state, GTU, the International Innovative University, your place to move forward.
Hello student, myself Professor Bansri Thakkar, Computer Engineering Department, AIT College, Ahmedabad. Today I am going to explain you the topic of computer organization architecture. The topic name is Programmed I/O, Interrupt Initiated I/O and Direct Memory Access. Now, first we will start with what is Program I/O. Programmed I/O mode. In this mode of data transfer, the operations are results in I/O instructions, which is a part of computer program. Each data transfer is initiated by an instruction in the program. Normally, the transfer is from a CPU register to peripheral device or vice versa. Once the data is initiated, the CPU starts monitoring the interface to see when the next transfer can made. The instructions of the programs keep close tabs on everything that takes place in the interface unit and the I/O devices. In this technique, CPU is responsible for executing data from the memory for output and storing the data in memory for executing of programmed I/O as shown in the flowchart. Now, the figure is showing the program I/O and data transfer from I/O devices to CPU. Here, the CPU and the I/O devices are connected with an interface where the interface have its data registers and the status register with the flag bit. CPU is connected to interface via 2 buses, data bus and address bus. There can be 2 types of data transmission between CPU and interface in program I/O, that are I/O read and I/O write. Also, I/O devices and interface are connected using the signal, data accepted, and also the data valid and I/O bus. Now, it can read the status register, it can check the status of the flag bit, and it can branch to the step 1, that is it can also read the status register again if not set, or to step the 3 if it is set. The step 3 is read the data register. So it can perform the 2 types of read operation. One is reading of the status register and second is the reading of the data register. And the next thing it can perform is it can check the status of the flag bit to transfer the connection to the step 1 or step 3 based on the status of the flag bit. Now, what is the drawback of the program I/O? The main drawback of the program initiated I/O was that the CPU has to monitor the units all the time when the program is executing. Thus, the CPU stays in a program loop until the I/O unit indicates that it is ready for the data transfer. This is a time consuming process and the CPU time is wasted a lot in keeping an eye to the executing of the program. Now, to remove this problem, an interrupt facility and the special commands are used. So, to remove the drawback of programmed I/O, we can use the second method, that is interrupt initiated I/O. Now, what is interrupt initiated IO. In this method, an interrupt facility and interrupt commands are used to inform the device about the start and the end of the transfer. In the meantime, the CPU itself executes the other program, which is the interrupt initiated. When the interface determines that the device is ready for the data transfer, it generates an interrupt request and it sends it to the computer. When the CPU receives such an signal, it temporarily stops the execution of the program and it branches to the service program to process the IO transfer, and after completing it, it returns back to the task what it was originally performing. In this type of IO, computer does not check the flag. It continue to perform its task. Whenever any device wants the attention, it sends the interrupt signal to the CPU. CPU then deviates from what it was doing and stores the return address from the program counter and branch to the address of the subroutine to serve an initiated interrupt. There are three ways of choosing the branch address. The first one is vector interrupt, the second one is non-vectored interrupt, and the third one is priority interrupt. The first one, vector interrupt, is the source that interrupt the CPU provides the branch information. This information is known as interrupt vectored. Now, what is non-vectored interrupt? The branch address is assigned to the fixed address in the memory is known as non-vectored interrupt. Now, what is the priority interrupt? When the interrupt is generated from more than one device, priority interrupt system is used to determine which device is to be serviced first. Devices with high speed transfer are given higher priority and slow devices are given slower priority. Now, the figure showing the interrupt initiated IO and the block diagram of priority interrupt using daisy chain. Here, the interrupt which is generated from more than one devices is shown using the device 1, which is having priority interrupt, device 2 and device 3 all are given with the interrupts. Now the serving a priority based interrupt will be based on the priority of a device which has high speed transfer will be served the first. Now, the third thing we are going to understand now is direct memory access, that is DMA. Now, what is the direct memory access? DMA, it is the interface where it transfer the data into and out of the memory unit through the memory bus. The transfer of data between a fast storage device such as magnetic disk and memory is often limited by the speed of the CPU. Removing the CPU from the path and letting the peripheral device to manage the memory buses directly would improve the speed of transfer. Now, this transfer technique is called as direct memory access. During the DMA transfer, the CPU is idle and has no control of the memory buses. A DMA controller takes over the buses to manage the transfer directly between the IO device and memory. The CPU may be placed in an idle state in a variety of ways. One common method to place the CPU in an idle way is the method extensively used in microprocessor, which is to disable the buses through special control signals. There are two special control signals, BR, bus request, and BG, bus grant. These two control signals in the CPU that facilitates the DMA transfer. Now, what is bus request? Bus request input is used by the DMA controller to request the CPU. When this input is active, the CPU terminates the execution of current instruction and places the address bus, data bus, and read or write lines into a high impedance state. High impedance state means that the output is disconnected. The CPU activates the bus grant output to inform the external direct memory access that the bus request can now take control of the buses to conduct the memory transfer without processor. When the DMA terminates the transfer, it disables the bus request line. The CPU disables the bus grant. BG takes the control of the buses and return to its normal operation. The transfer can be made in several ways that are DMA bus cycle stealing. What is DMA burst? In DMA burst transfer, a block sequence consisting of a number of memory words is transferred in a continuous burst while the DMA controller is master of the memory buses. In a cycle stealing allows the DMA controller to transfer one data word at a time, after which it must returns the control of the buses to the CPU. DMA controller, the DMA controller needs the usual circuits to an interface to communicate with the CPU and the input-output devices. Now, the block diagram of DMA controller is shown. There are various select signals that are DS, RS, DMA select and register select. Also the operations read and write, bus request, bus grant and interrupt signals are there. Also DMA request and DMA acknowledgement signals are there. Address bus and data bus are used to transfer the data between the registers, where the address bus is used to transfer the address register or address of the register, word count register, and control register's address. Also, data bus is used to transfer the two-way, that is read and write at the same time data between the data bus buffers using the various registers named as address registers, word count registers, and control registers. Now, what is DMA transfer? The CPU that communicates with the DMA through the address and data buses as with any interface unit is same as the DMA transfer. The DMA has its own address which activates the DS and the RS lines, means DS is DMA select signal and RS means register select lines. The CPU which initializes the DMA through the data bus. Once the DMA receives the start control command, it can transfer the data between any peripheral lines and the main memory. When BG is equal to 0, that means bus grant signal is equal to 0 and RD and WR means read and write are input lines allowing the CPU to communicate with the internal direct memory address registers. Now, when BG means bus grant signal is 1, then the read and write means RD and WR lines are output lines from the DMA controller to the random access memory to specify the read or write operation of the data. DMA transfer is shown in this figure where BG and BR signals, that is bus grant and bus request signal, are connected with read, write, address bus and data buses. Whereas DMA controller has its own signals DS, RS, BR, BG and interrupt. It is connected with IO peripheral devices using two request lines, that is DMA request and DMA acknowledgement. Also, the IO peripheral devices are connected to the random access memory and IO peripheral devices are working as an interface between DMA controller and random access memory unit. The main CPU and the RAM are connected via read control, write control, data bus and address bus. Also, using an address bus by RAM, that is read random access memory, and DMA controller is controlled using two address select signals, that is DS and RS. Thank you, students.